What is my connection? My connection, first of all, my name is John Massari, and my connection to Killer Clowns from Outer Space is I am the film's composer. Can I believe the number of fans it carries? Well, yes, I'm very happy at the number of fans it carries. I recently discovered all the fans and come in contact with most of the fans in the past, oh my goodness, 4 or 5 years. Prior to that, I never had gone to any of the conventions. I wish I had gone to the conventions. That would have been a lot of fun. The Kyoto brothers and some of the people in the cast, some of the people that did stunts, they regularly appear at sci-fi horror conventions like Monster Palooza and Scare LA and all that. I came in contact with all those people on the 25th anniversary a few years ago, and I got to meet some very, very special people. One gentleman in particular, Bill Bagley. And unfortunately, Bill is no longer with us, but he had this boy-like fascination with the music from Killer Clowns from Outer Space. He actually was very familiar with many of the musical cues and had questions for me, and it was really wonderful because he helped me discover the magic of making music again. We had talked about the classical influence of Killer Clowns from Outer Space, even though it was performed with synthesizers and electronica. The scope and the approach of the composition was purely classical, and he was very fascinated about that. And he encouraged me to pursue an orchestral recording of the score, which we can talk about later. The fans are really lovely. They've been active on social media, being in contact with them, and it's just absolutely fascinating to see the people that do craft art, that do makeup. I mean, my goodness, everyone's got Killer Clown from Outer Space tattoos, for crying out loud. That's incredible. And while we're on our first question, let me tell you how I came to be the composer for Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Several years before I met the Kyoto brothers or even knew anything about them, I was working with a producer. We were having some great success. At one point in his life, fell on some bad times, and he had to basically live with me for about what was supposed to be 2 months. Turned out to be about 3 years. And he was very industrious, always working on something, always reading, always researching, always coming up with a new idea. He wasn't going to let whatever situation that he had gotten himself into define him. So every day he would go to the library, and like I said, this went on for 3 years. He would, give me my space and privacy, and sometimes be gone most of the day. And one time, it was a rainy day, and he came home. He was soaking wet. He had come from the library. He had this little snip of paper that he had cut out from the Daily Variety, and he said, "There's someone looking to score their short film, and they live in Washington, D.C. So I answered the ad. I don't usually answer ads, but this one I answered. And it was a guy named Eric Young, and he was in Washington, D.C. He was making a short film based on H.P. Lovecraft's Lurking Fear. So I scored that, and that went well. I still have a long relationship with that particular director and producer. He teaches at Chapman University currently, and he's involved in writing and production, and from time to time we work together on a variety of projects. But after we had done that film, he called me and asked me if I would be interested to be working with some friends of his that he knew that were working on an unusual, to say the least, film. He says, "You may not be interested in it. It's something like the invasion of clowns from outer space or something like that." I go, "Wait, hold on a second. Say that again? The invasion of clowns from outer space or something." And I go, "I'm there. I love this already. Where do I sign up?" So I got in contact with the Kyoto brothers, and I auditioned along with several composers, probably something like 20 or 30. And luckily I got the job. And what they liked about my music is that the music was very serious, and it worked as a great contrast. Anyway, so that's the story of how I came to clowns. I had a friend of mine that was in need, who needed shelter, and in return, I got this great opportunity. As I mentioned before, in meeting with the fans for the first time and actually seeing the passion and enthusiasm they had, not only for the film, but for the score and my music, it was very touching. I was very moved. There was a Bill Bagley, who was an attorney, lived in Arizona. He would come out to LA every once in a while, and he was a very, very serious film music lover. He's a dear friend to all the studio musicians and composers out here in LA. We, on a number of occasions, had discussed doing my score for Killer Clowns from Outer Space with a live symphony orchestra. So unfortunately, he passed away before he could see my first session that I did last year at Warner Brothers Studios. I dedicated the video to him. If you check out my YouTube channel, you'll see the orchestral version. It kind of starts out like a radio show where I'm being interviewed prior to the recording. And then after the recording, I have a tribute to Bill. That was the basis for the crowdfunding. Now that I've proven that, okay, we can do this with a live orchestra, it sounds absolutely wonderful. Let's have an Indiegogo campaign and raise the capital to perform this. And I've got very good response so far, and we're looking forward to going into production. My composer pal Bear McCreary has expressed an interest in performing, and we are going to be recording him in September of this year, which I'm looking very forward to. Bear is a lot of fun to work with. He's very talented, and he's just got that energy that I can't wait to have be part of this album. But I would say, in a nutshell, the campaign is inspired entirely by the fans of this movie and of the score. And there are many more things regarding clowns that are going to be coming up.